Good evening and welcome to Big Talk, a program where we highlight issues concerning Nigeria, especially political issues, and we have quite a number of them for you tonight. My name is Ubong Usora, and I'm saying welcome to the program. Tonight on the program, we'll be looking at political parties and how they actually affect Nigeria's democracy, especially with what is happening in our political scene where we have a lot of defection, and people are asking, are we really in the right trajectory as a country and as a nation? And all of this we'll be discussing tonight on the program. But before then, let's go for a short break, and when we go back, I'll take you through some of the trending political discussions we have in the country at the moment. Welcome to the program. Let's go check out some of the trending political discussions we're able to bring for you tonight. The first story we take tonight. All right, so while we're trying to bring that story, we will be bringing the stories to you tonight. Let me check if I can actually get that as we try to get it on the screen tonight. One of the stories says, no local government chairman can complain of funds under Tinubu Sanwo-Olu. So Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has said that under President Bola Tinubu's administration, no state governor or local government chairman can complain of inadequate funding as federal allocations to subnational governments have significantly increased to drive development. This is coming from Governor Sanwo-Olu. Let's see if we can get that on the screen. All right, so that's what Governor Sanwo-Olu is saying, that no state governor can complain of, no state governor and no local government chairman can complain of inadequate funds under this present administration. Earlier today, we saw the altercation between the FCT minister and some soldiers. Reacting to that, Shehu Sani, former senator, has cautioned the FCT minister to avoid stunts. Avoid stunts with soldier, Shehu Sani cautions Wike. So former Kaduna Central Senator Shehu Sani has advised the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to exercise restraint in his engagement with security personnel. And we'll try to bring you a video done by my colleague who covers the FCT as to what happened with the FCT minister earlier today. And also still talking about that particular altercation now. I can't be intimidated. We have another story, says Wike. Let's see if we can bring that story to you now. All right, so the minister of the FCT says, the minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, who spoke earlier on an confrontation between himself and an unidentified military officer over an alleged land grabbing incident in Abuja, described the situation as unfortunate. And Wike says, I cannot be intimidated. Okay, another story now. Ex-presidential candidate backs Trump, forwards federal government on insecurity. So former presidential candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Adewale Adebayo, has backed U.S. President Donald Trump over the recent remark of killings in the country. That's killings in Nigeria. I'll take the last story for tonight before we head back to the studio. Sokoto PDP inaugurates committee ahead of 2025 National Convention. The Sokoto State chapter of the People's Democratic Party has inaugurated a committee to coordinate the state's participation in the forthcoming 2025 elective National Convention of the party. All right, so let's get back to the studio now, where we have joining us a former special advisor to the president on asset recovery, talking about very senior lawyer Oko Obono Obla, who's joining us live in Abuja studio tonight. We are very pleased to have you join us in the studio.
Thank you, Bon. It's a pleasure.
Right, thank you so much. A lot of happening in the political system of recent, and I saw a post by you, let's start there, where you said that you brought the APC to Cross River State.
No, I didn't say I brought APC. I said we brought APC, which is true. That is members of the legacy parties, AMPP, CPC, ACN, and factions of DPP and ABGA that came together in 2013 to form APC. So if I say we, yes, I mean my colleagues like Tufame, Hilade Eta, Mire Ekpere, Cletus Obun, and a host of others. We were the people who brought APC to Cross River State. Yes, so I'm not missing which is true. Or some of the people who came into the party, they came in 3 batches or 3 groups. The first group came in 2017, and then the last group came in 2021. But they have taken over the party and they have pushed us out. But the reality is that we brought APC. I didn't say I mean, it's not. Right, it would be unfair to say I. I say we, because I was a national officer of the CPC. I was a national deputy secretary. I was also the secretary of the CPC Media Committee. In the Media Talk, I was a co-secretary because we were 3 or 4 co-secretaries. Myself, Dr. Ibrahim Lame from Bauchi State, may so rest in peace, he has passed away, was a former minister. We also, George Mogado, who contested under the platform of Labour Party in the last week Anambra election. And then we had Osita Izunaso, who is now a senator. He was also a co-secretary representing ABGA. So that is how we founded APC. We are back in Cross River State. After the merger, we formed an interim management committee. I was a member, and our chairman was Alex Irek. Alex Irek was a member of the House of Assembly under the platform of ACN. Yeah, so he was the leader of the management committee of APC. That was in 2013.
Right. So maybe some persons are of the opinion that why you brought out the statement that you and your friends at the time and your political associate at the time brought the APC to Cross River was maybe because of the reception that was done to former Governor Ayadi, and during we saw inscription. We saw the inscription. People said he's the let's welcome the visionary and the bringer or founder, and they use a lot of appellations to describe him as a bringing APC to South at the time.
A despicable narrative. He wasn't. He cannot be the father of APC. I have mentioned those of us who brought the party. And even somebody like Tufami Laleta was the national vice chairman of APC for South in 2013, from 2014 to 2019. So with due respect to him, cannot claim to be the father of APC. Well, he decamped. And when he decamped to APC, he didn't even bring the party together. He marginalized those of us whom he met in the party, those of us who were the founding fathers of APC in Cross River State. For instance, let me give you a scenario. In the primaries to select or nominate candidates of APC for the 2023 general elections, in the Senate, all the 3 candidates were from his group. Himself, the current senator representing Central District, Jonathan Williams,
former speaker,
and Asuku Ekwenyo, who represented the South. All of them were from his group. 3. He didn't concede any ticket at senatorial level to anybody he met in the party. All of us he met in the party. In the House of Reps, the only person that was from the old APC group was Alex Egbona, who is representing Yaka Abi Federal Constituency. And he was the only person in 2019 who won a seat under APC. And it was the first time since 1999 that an opposition party was winning something in Cross River State. So he was the only person that was given ticket. And then one other person, just 2 in the House of Reps, out of 8 candidates, 6 came from Ayade's group. In the House of Assembly, all the 25 candidates of APC came from Ayade's group. Then the governorship candidate, which is the current governor, Senator Prince Basi Ejedotu, he emerged through consensus, but he was among those who came in 2017. So if you look at the APC today, even in the ward level, in the local government level, at the state level, everybody there is those who came in from PDP, and they came in and hijacked the entire structure, supplanted people who were there. And you cannot say there was no APC in Cross River State before Ayade came into office. In 2015, it was a difficult election because Jonathan was from the South, and So, but despite that, there was a lot of propaganda against former President Muhammadu Buhari. But despite that, we put up a spirited fight, and we had almost 30%, or almost 25%. But in 2019, APC had over 25%. In the presidential election. So,
right. But we see this in Chief. We see this in Nigeria's political culture that when once a governor defects from one party to the other, he takes over the structure of the party.
It's wrong.
Like he's given to him.
And that is why I've been very critical of APC, because that was not the vision of the founding fathers. I can claim to be one of the founding fathers of APC because I had to forgo my seat as a national officer in CPC. We were forced to resign to pave way for the party to emerge. And as I said, I was a co-secretary in the Major Talk, the Joint Inter-Party Major Committee, which was an umbrella committee for all the 3 parties, ACN, CPC, ANPP, and the factions of ABGA and DPP. That umbrella committee was, formed for us to negotiate the formation of the party. So, is it fair that those people who did a lot of sacrifices to sustain the opposition in Cross River State, despite everything PDP did to emasculate the opposition from 1999, so is it fair that they shouldn't be recognized because another group came in, to take over the party? I mean, that is not being fair, and that is not democracy, and we shouldn't encourage that. And that is what is causing problem in ADC. People who came in hijacked the entire structure of ADC and supplanted themselves. So that is not democracy. That is not democracy. We shouldn't encourage that. Even if you come into a political party, a new political party, you should take your place. Subject yourself to democratic process. And if you emerge, then nobody will feel bad. Nobody will say, you have hijacked the structure. But to come over and hijack the structure and push over those people who were there, who made a lot of sacrifices, underwent persecution, prosecution, intimidation, harassment, and so forth and so on. It is not fair.
Right. So let's look at this now in the broader Nigerian perspective. As we look at Nigeria's progress and the role of political parties in nation building now. Of recent, we've seen a lot of, in the last 6 months, we've had over 4 governors defect, from the PDP primarily to the APC, your party at the moment. And we've also seen in the House of Reps and in the Senate, a lot of Labour Party, PDP senators, House members are moving to the APC. Is this worrisome for our democracy at this time?
No, I'm not worried. It shouldn't be worrisome. It's normal. It's an evolutionary process. It's biological that human beings will always migrate from one place to the other. Even in the Bible, you read the story of Abraham, where God asked him to move. So if you look at the history of mankind, from time immemorial, people are always moving from one place to another because of civil war, because of wars, because of natural causes like earthquake, volcanic eruption, and so forth and so on. Tsunamis, typhoons, and also it could make people to move. Also, look for better opportunities, economic opportunities, and that is the history of America. And I'm surprised that Trump doesn't want immigrants. But if you look at the history of America, it's a country of immigrants. People came from Europe, people came from Africa, to build the United States. Australia too. There were a lot of fugitives, from justice, people who have committed crimes in the UK, and in Europe and elsewhere. They migrated to Australia, and displaced the indigenous people. So people will always move because the political parties are made up of human beings. So it is in conformity with the dynamics of humanity for people to move from one party to the other. There's something wrong with that. Our democracy is evolving. It is not yet stable. It is not yet stabilized. It's not yet mature. So you see those kind of tendencies that politicians will always want to move from one place to another. But most importantly, it is the fact that the opposition political parties in Nigeria are not stable. They are even at the brink of crumbling. Look at Labour Party. It's in crisis. Several factions. Who is the national chairman of Labour Party? Who is the national secretary? Look at PDP. PDP is on the verge of implosion. The ADC we are talking about, it's also, it's on the blink. Because when they came in and displaced the people who were running the party, that group resisted them by going to court. So in the next 1 or 2 years, if they are unable to resolve this litigation, ADC may not be able to field candidates. PDP may not be able to field candidates because who is going to upload the names of the candidates that are going to fly their flags in accordance with the INEC regulation? Who? If you have a party parading several national chairmen, several national secretaries. So because of that, politicians who have ambition, politicians are always ambitious. Those who are on their first term want to have a second term. Most of those governors you have mentioned, they are on their first term. And the PDP has become unstable for them. And they don't want to take the risk of remaining in PDP because they may not likely have the opportunity of contesting for their second tenure.
Yeah, but the discussion moves to the fact that it seems your party, I had a discussion yesterday with one of the PDP chieftain, and he said the issues in the PDP are caused by APC.
No, I don't think so.
Because the APC has empowered somebody like the Minister of the FCC, who is bringing in so much disunity into the PDP.
It's one-sided. It's not objective. The President Bola Ahmed Tinubu appointed Minister Nyesom Wike, even though he's a member of PDP. The law does not say that, or the Constitution does not say that if you belong to a rival party, I cannot appoint you as a commissioner or a minister if I emerge as president or governor. And it is not the first time we are seeing this scenario in Nigeria. Let's go back to 1979. The so-called Second Republic. We had several political parties. The defunct National Party of Nigeria, the United Party of Nigeria, UPN. We also have ANPP, Nigerian People's Party, GNPP, Great Nigerian People's Party. So when they went into an election, at the end of the election, the president who emerged, President Aliyu Shehu Shagari, was from MPN. Yes. And then in the National Assembly, MPN won, was the highest number of seats, but they didn't have 2/3 majority. Because for a bill to pass through the National Assembly, both in the House of Reps and the Senate, we must have 2/3 majority for a bill to scale through. So they were apprehensive that they may have some difficulties, passing bills through, confirming ministers, ambassadors, and so forth and so on. So they went into an accord with a Nigerian People's Party. And that resulted in the appointment of some ministers from, MPP. In my community, my uncle, late Chief Etan Okoyobuli, he was in MPP. He contested to be the governor of the Old Cross River State, or deputy governor of the Old Cross River State. But but they were defeated by Dr. Clement Isong. So they appointed him a minister. And Paul Onungo from Benue was also appointed minister, and several other people. There are about 6 or so ministers. Ishayi Audu also, who was the running mate of Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, who was the presidential candidate of NPP. He was also appointed foreign minister. So it is not the first time that a president is appointing somebody from the opposition. Even during Yar'Adua's time, Yar'Adua formed a government of national unity and appointed a lot of people in the opposition. So it's not the first time. So how would they say that? The problem in PDP, which they are running away from, is the failure of Alhaji Atiku Abubakar to obey the rotation principle embedded in the PDP constitution. The rotation principle says the presidential tickets must rotate between northern Nigeria and southern Nigeria. And Atiku has refused to obey that principle. And he went ahead and contested. And also we had also a national chairman of PDP from the northern Nigeria, who is not supposed to be a case. The presidential candidate was from northern Nigeria. The national chairman should come from southern Nigeria. It's there in the PDP constitution. They didn't obey it. So that is what is causing all the crises that has led to the implosion. But they always want to blame the APC to make it look sweet in the ears of some people, but it's not true.
So there's also an argument that Nigeria is gradually tilting towards a one-party state, where we have a one-party state. And since we're talking about Nigeria's democracy and political parties, the Nigeria's progress, you've seen Nigeria grow from leaps and bounds, and yeah, we have challenges. Do you think a one-party state will further the cause of this democracy that we fought tears and blood and sweated so much to get today?
It is not possible. Organically, Nigeria is a mosaic complexity. It's a diversity, of more than 300 or 500 groups. So it is multicultural, multi-religious, multi-ethnic. And you can go to a local government area, typically in some states in Nigeria, you will find more than 10 ethnic groups. So it is not possible for Nigeria to slide into a one-party dictatorship. Even though the military took over and they used decrees and edicts, they used force, they used draconian means to run the country, but they were unable to subdue everybody. There were a lot of agitation. There were a lot of pressure that eventually forced the military to return back to the barracks. And it happened in 1979. It also happened in 1999. So it is not possible for Nigeria to slide into a one-party dictatorship, because Nigeria is heterogeneous. Nigeria is a very complex country, and one-party dictatorship cannot work. What we are seeing is normal. Because a democracy is a social science. Social science is biological too. I've told you the story of migration. People migrating from one place to the other. People are just merely migrating because our democracy is yet to mature. We are still very nascent, at the nascent level, rudimentary level, embryonic level. So how many years have we rerun democracy? it also includes part of the colonial period from 1959 or 51 when we had the first election in Nigeria to 1960 when a country attained independence. It's just 9 years. So if you remove those 9 years, 1951 to 1960, if you subtract the 9 years, 1960 to 1966, the military took over. So we practiced democracy for just 6 years. So our democracy is evolving. You know, compare Nigeria with America, that has practiced democracy for 225 years. You see all the challenges we had, you know, in 2020. 2020, when Trump was defeated. But despite that, he denied that he was defeated. And even there was an attempt to go into Congress and, force, or disrupt the collation of results, certification of results in Congress for the president to be announced. So if America, with strong institutions, judiciary, the legislature, a strong civil society, well-educated, very wealthy, if America can have the challenges America is going through, then we'll talk less of Nigeria that has just practiced democracy for 25 years. So we are learning. So in the process of learning, all the dynamics you are seeing will take place. But when there shall come a time when democracy will mature, people will not want to migrate from one party to the other. People will be supporting parties on the basis of what program do this party have for society.
Right. So talking about the program, you just mentioned something. There's also a discussion about what is the ideology of political parties in Nigeria. Yeah. Do we really have ideologies? Do political parties have ideology? I'll ask you, a chieftain of the APC, a founding member of the APC, does the APC have an ideology? And if they do, what is the ideology of the All Progressive Congress?
APC has an ideology. That is why some of us never subscribed to membership of PDP. I was a grown-up. I finished my NYSC in 1991. I took part in the struggle to end a military rule in Nigeria. So by 1999, I was already, a young man, a lawyer, and so a PDP came on board, and some of us were not happy with the way PDP ran the country. So we opted out, and when opportunity came, I went into the opposition, CPC first, and CPC was ideological. ACM was ideological. ABGA was ideological. So all the parties that came together were ideological. So our ideology is social democracy. We believe in social democracy. Okay? We believed in devolution of powers, about the constant parts of the country. You have seen what the president is doing to bring about state police, what he is doing to bring about autonomous local government, and so forth and so on. So that is our ideology. And you see what he has done by withdrawing subsidy. Okay? So that is the ideology. So we have an ideology which is different from PDP, Labour, and ADC. But the fact that people are migrating, politicians are migrating, well, you give it to them. Everybody has a right to freedom of association. You have the right to freedom of movement. The fact that people are moving from one party to the other does not mean that our party is not ideological.
But they come with their own ideology, and it submerges the ideology of the party. If they have, and do we have like a teaching or a training session where members of the party also pass out the information about this is what this party stands for those who are coming in?
The first thing we do when you come over is to present a copy of the Constitution.
Do they read it?
Well, that's another question, another story. Whether they read it or not, another story. But the most important thing we do, we try to inculcate the values of APC into them. We say, well, APC believes in social democracy. APC does not believe in capitalism, unbridled capitalism. APC believes in social democracy. That is why you see a lot of social investment. In Buhari's era, we had a lot of social investment. And in this government, we have seen, let me mention one, the loans, student loan. Yes, because a lot of people couldn't go to school because of small sums of money. But now they can go to school because you can go to a bank and collect a loan, and the government will pay for you until when you finish school, then you start paying back.
And people ask, where are the jobs? Well, let's go for a break. Honorable, when we come back, we'll talk about the social programs of the APC and if it is actually affecting us as citizens of Nigeria. But we are still talking to Barrister Okoye Obono-Obla, who is a former SA2 president on asset recovery. Let's go for this break, and when we're back, the conversation continues. All right, welcome back to the program. If you're just joining us, this is Big Talk. Tonight on the program, we're looking at Nigeria's progress, the role of political parties in nation building. And we have live in the studios Okoye Obono-Obla, who's a Nigerian lawyer, politician, and former anti-corruption boss. He served as chairman of the Special Presidential Investigation Panel for the Recovery of Public Property in Nigeria under former President Muhammadu Buhari. Just before we get into the next, we're still talking about this. I'll just ask about your former boss, President Buhari, passed, and for you, how does it feel, knowing he's no longer today, and what he stood for, President Buhari?
Well, he stood for integrity. He was a patriot. He stood for steadfastness, contesting presidential elections 3 times, 2003, 2007, 2011. You must have the heart of a lion to do that in a society like Nigeria. And taking into account the kind of propaganda we had against him, there was a lot of propaganda against him. So a lot of people misunderstood him completely, or they tried to paint a certain narrative about his person, which was not true, but they did that because of politics. So I think it's somebody that we should emulate, his principles, simplicity, and you may give it to him. He was very honest, and to the sense that he didn't amass wealth, despite the fact that he was in public service for almost 60 years, 20 years. He was in the army, he was a divisional commander, for 3 times, so three divisions of the Nigerian Army. He was military secretary, he was the director of supply and transport corps of the Army, he was minister for petroleum resources, he was chairman of NNPC, he was head of state, he was also chairman of Petroleum Task Force. So all the positions he has had, that would have fetched me a lot of, wealth if he was somebody who was so honest, who believed in putting his hands into the public till. So, also tenacity. Look at the way they formed APC with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is what I thought the current opposition should do, and which they are not doing. You know, both of them had presidential ambition, but President Bola Ahmed Tinubu paved the way for him to emerge in 2015 and supported him for a second term, and you know, and he left. And
did he support him back? Those are conversations that conversations that he didn't support the majors.
Those are speculations, because the man said he was not going to interfere in the process. He's not going to support whoever will emerge as presidential candidate, and which I think is good. You know, we are used to political godfatherism in Nigeria. You know, people trying to, you know, muzzle their way, you know, for their lankies, for their stooges, for their friends, for their relations in politics. And I don't think President Muhammad Buhari didn't believe in that. So from the beginning, he said, look, I'm not going to interfere in whoever emerges. And he kept that portion. So we should really give credit to him because if he had made an attempt to have his way, maybe that would have resulted in the implosion of APC.
But there are discussions about the Senate President at that time that he was recommended. There are those rumors, you know, people talk about that he was recommended by the chairman, by the president, and we saw an announcement on newspaper pages
that
at the
is
time.
Academic. Maybe because he was the person who shut that down. You know, it appears he was not consulted. The national chairman, it was the agenda of the then national chairman, not the agenda of President Buhari.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about your time as AC to the president on asset recovery, and that was a major, you know, stakeholding in the anti-corruption fight. And some people talk about that the APC came into power on 3 tripartite promises, a lot of other things, but corruption, fighting corruption was a prominent message. Economy was a prominent message. Ending insecurity was a prominent message. Will you say that your party from 2016 to date have been able to fight corruption? Let's start from that corruption, you know, fulcrum. Have your party really fought corruption in Nigeria?
Yes. We fought corruption. We may not have succeeded in eliminating corruption because corruption is a human phenomenon. It is part and parcel of humanity. If you remember the story of Sodom and Gomorrah in the Bible, where the God had to destroy the entire city because of corruption. So there is no society where you do not have corruption. Even in China, where corrupt people are executed, you know, or suffer long-term imprisonment, people are still corrupt. Last week, a former minister of agriculture was, you know, in China, was sentenced to, you know, death. In the US, there's corruption. In the UK, there's corruption. So there is no country or the society in the universe today or globally that has, you know, completely eradicated corruption. So I should say that my party has fought corruption. We may not have succeeded in ending corruption because nobody can end corruption. But the most important thing is that those who are corrupt are, you know, brought to book.
And how many have been brought to book? Well, people mention that people who are targeted, seems to be some targeted or calculated attempts against members of the opposition.
I don't think so. That is always the narrative. You know, some people, some members of the opposition, when you go after them, who have done something wrong, when you go after them, they say, oh, you are shunting me. You are being targeted because of the fact that I belong to the opposition. Yesterday, a big APC member was declared wanted by EFCC. If EFCC is protecting APC members, would that happen? The former governor of Bayelsa State, who was a minister in Buhari's government, is a big figure in APC. He has not resigned from APC. He has not joined the opposition, but he was declared wanted by EFCC. So that narrative is wrong. It's just people who want to distract, who want to use red herrings. So I think the party has tried, and it's an ongoing process. You know, you cannot expect that corruption will completely eradicate it. But and corruption is not about sending people, fighting corruption. It's not about sending people to prison. It's not, or detaining people. It's also about carrying out a reform of the system that enables corruption. For instance, the oil subsidy. Oil subsidy enabled corruption, and the government withdraw oil subsidy. Also, the floating, the regulation of the naira enabled corruption. A lot of racketeering was taking place in the central bank because people were hustling to obtain foreign exchange. It has also ended. So it's another way of fighting corruption, opening up the economy, deregulating the economy. It's also a form of fighting corruption. So fighting corruption is not about arresting people and taking them to court and jailing them. And there have been a lot of recoveries. Okay? There have been a lot of recoveries. EFCC made, a month ago, they made a big announcement of how much you have recovered from money into the system. So that is the most important thing. If you want to end corruption or to reduce corruption, then you make corruption unattractive. You collect the proceeds of people who are taking assets, proceeds of corruption, you seize them back and return back to society. And we have done that in place. We have done that in Buhari's time. In this government, they are still doing it. So it's work in progress.
Right. Let's talk about even the process to becoming Nigeria's president. It seems to be so monetized that the presidential ticket of your party was sold for 100 million naira. And
100 billion?
100 million naira. And even the other political parties like the PDP didn't come cheap, right? As to 80 million and all of that. Let's talk about the finances, the amount of money somebody needs to become a politician in Nigeria to win maybe a governorship election, or we just saw the Anambra election. My colleague was there covering the election, Anita Patrick, and on camera we saw people doling out monies to incentivize those who are going to be voting. Let's talk about is this not aiding corruption in their system?
Well, the people too was also fight corruption. When the battle against corruption was at its intensity in Buhari's government, people were, even the opposition, they were criticizing the government, that the government is making the economy to slum. That there's poverty because the government was fighting corruption. So it's a two-way thing. The Nigerians must resolve to fight corruption. It's not just going to the TV station and shouting corruption. Why would you want to accept something from somebody who's contesting election?
For people that have not eaten for days.
Well, I don't believe that people are not eating. People are eating. You see, you want to weaponize hunger. There's no hunger in this country to that extent. Let me come. There's no hunger in this country to that extent that people, are hungry. But what people are hungry for wants. Because, I may have a lot of money. I want to buy an aircraft. That is a poverty. I don't have sufficient money to buy an aircraft, but I want an aircraft. So what we do in economics is opportunity cost. What priority, you place priority on what you need at every point in time.
But there are Nigerians that don't even know where their next meal will come from.
Well, I don't know about that, but I don't think there is that type of hunger in Nigeria where people do not have food. I come from a rural community in Cross River State, and people go to farm. People go to farm every day, and they go to do garri rice and so forth and so on. And then some of those people in my community they have money more than those of us who live in Abuja. When I go home, sometimes I run out of money, and my cousins and nephews, and they bring money to me. Okay? But because in Abuja, when you live in Abuja, you want to live, you want to present a certain picture of, doing very well. So, and so whatever money that is available to you will not be enough to take care of your needs. But if we cut our coat according to our, size, we put priority to what we need most. Leave out the luxurious aspect of life. Having 20 cars, 10 cars, 5 cars. Even presently in Abuja, I know a lot of my neighbors who have 5 cars. What do you need 5 cars for? Fuel is expensive. So you need just one single car, but it's the people having 5 cars and keeping those cars in their garages. And so that is the problem. So it is not this hunger we are talking about. You know, we are passing through some difficulties, everybody. And it's not peculiar to our country.
Right. So, Honorable, I'd like to ask about your party now as we try to wind down. The APC. Has the APC fulfilled its mandate to Nigerians? When you look at how the APC has interacted, how they've treated Nigerians, a lot of Nigerians complain that since the APC government came, there's been a lot of, a lot of struggle economically because of the finances. Have the APC been fair to Nigeria in your assessment?
Very, very fair. The APC has done very well. Yeah, people who want to be honest will tell you that. But those who want to be dishonest, or those who want to be complain, or those who want to play politics will say that the APC has not done well. APC has done well to a certain extent. And it is business in progress, you know, because this government is just 4 years, and we are going to the 3rd year. So let's keep our fingers crossed. Let's wait until the 4-year tenure expires. Then we will not do an evaluation assessment of what the government has done for the people. But to say that APC has not done nothing for Nigeria is not being truthful. That's the political statement or assertion.
Yes. So there are also discussion, just a few questions, so we're going to round up discussion. Should we reduce the number of political parties we have? We have about 19. INEC is waiting to see if they can register a few more. But some of these political parties, look at what happened in Anambra election. Some could not even get up to 500 votes. Are they politically viable? Do we reduce the number of political parties? Maybe merge the other political parties so we can have more viability in our system?
We cannot reduce. You know, there was a time, there was a law in the Electoral Act that says if a political party does not win a certain number of seats in the National Assembly, INEC should delist that political party. So, and then when INEC made that an attempt, and the people affected, the political parties affected, went to court, and the court said no. So that is it. That is why I was saying that whatever we are seeing is an evolutionary process. Because our democracy is maturing, it's growing, it's still at the embryonic stage. So let us have as many political parties as possible. The weak ones will wither away. We used to have Alliance of Democracy. Do you hear Alliance of Democracy again? We had DPP, and a lot of other political parties that withered away because they couldn't withstand, you know, the test of political parties competing amongst themselves. So the weak political parties will go away, and we have the strong political parties, and we are now aggravating to maybe a 2-party, you know, system, just like what you have in America. You have a Republican Party, you have a Democratic Party, but that does not mean that there are no other smaller political parties. So political parties they don't exist just to win elections. Political parties are also pressure groups. Some political parties exist to fight causes, public causes.
Like Green Party.
Exactly. So like the Green Party, you know. So we should have those kind of political parties. Maybe a political party that will say, look, let us abolish by Camara legislation in Nigeria. Let us have one National Assembly, you know, made up of maybe senators or members of the House of Representatives. So we should have parties like that. You know, not necessarily because they want to win elections, you know, but they also help in the nation building, in also sustaining democracy, you know, and making democracy to be lively and interesting. So that is it.
Let me take you back to Cross River before we go now. Your party, APC, has also done well in Cross River. We are seeing, we saw a senator representing Cross River North, Senator Jaribe. He's joined your party.
He's welcome, and I like him. He's very hardworking. He's very focused, and you know, he's doing what a leader is supposed to do. He's very close to his people, and he's always home to interact with his people. Hold town hall meetings. Of all the senators in our state, I will give credit to him. And my senator, Central, he has ever called us to a meeting of people from the Central Senatorial District, Hubra local government, Yakon local government, Itum, Ikom, and Boki, he has never, since he was elected. So, but Jarigbe holds town hall meetings for the Northern Senatorial District, made up of Bekwara, Obudu, Obandeku, Iyala, and Ogoja. So he is a very popular senator. He is also a very good leader. So we are very happy that he has come over. He has reduced the amount of work we would have done in Northern Senatorial District to fight him.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okoye Ogbonnobla, Nigerian lawyer, politician, and anti-corruption leader. Thank you so much. He served as a special presidential chairman of the Special Presidential Committee on Asset Recovery. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And that's the size of our program for tonight. Like I say every day when I come on the show, remember that Nigeria is our country and we must love Nigeria and do the right thing. My name is Ubongo Sori in Abuja. I'm saying bye for now.